started with the mindfulness practice because I was slowing down and aware of what was going through my mind. And one day I went out for a run and I heard it was like a voice. It wasn't mine. And they said, you're going to open an alternative medicine practice in Flagstaff. So the whole run, I was like, wow, okay, so how's that going to look? And so I started thinking about it. Who do I need to call? And I was remembering that there was a woman a couple years before that was doing something similar, figured out how to get in touch with her. And I called her and she said, you need to look up the Institute for Functional Medicine. I started my training in the middle of 2018. And I finished my training at the beginning of 2019. They usually recommend that you do that training in 5 to 6 years. So I crammed it in. I had already quit my job. I quit my job at the end of 2018. I did my last training in 2019. So 2019, I opened my clinic and I just started seeing people.
Hi friends, this is James and Kara and we are Kerouacs Cruising.
We are taking you on a journey, traveling the country with our dogs and finding remote places where the dog
and us
can roam free and play while we discuss life's growths, beauty, and some struggles along the way.
We recommend pairing our episodes with our blog at kerouacscruising.com, where we organize accurate information in an easy-to-follow format, removing all of the conversational goodies.
The link for this episode's blog post is in the show notes.
We encourage you to join the conversation by commenting where you listen, engaging with us on Facebook or Instagram at Kerouacs Cruising, or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Sit back and enjoy the journey.
Good morning.
Hi, thank you for joining Kerouacs Cruising. This is James and Kara, and today we have a special guest, and her name is Dr. Beth Claxton. Is that correct? All right, and she is a functional medicine doctor and a medical doctor, and I look forward to hearing all kinds of stuff today, but I'm really interested in Ayurvedic medicine.
I'm Beth Claxton. I'm a medical doctor, board certified in obstetrics and gynecology, and then certified in functional medicine through the Institute for Functional Medicine. And along the way, I became a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. So I teach a mindfulness course. It's 8 weeks. I became a yoga health coach, which is Ayurvedic, and then did a Ayurvedic certification. It was it's definitely not like an Ayurvedic doctor, but it was something where I was exposed to what I think are all the elements of Ayurveda. Just dip my toe in to understand how it began to understand how it all worked.
Yeah. That's amazing. One of the things, so Beth's an author with us in the Together We Rise book. So that's how we've met her, and her story and journey was just beautiful, really. I think I mentioned it to you in my email to you that it just kept ringing in my head afterwards. Surrender. The word just kept coming back up, coming back up.
Right.
I was like, and you feel like you almost resist that word because it makes you think give up, and that's not what it is. It's trust, and trust the process, trust life, trust that everything is going to work out. That you're going to receive the answers you need, the guidance you need, the people you need when it's time for you to come into contact with that. And the white knuckle grip, unlike that all of us tend to do, is it's the opposite.
The name of my chapter is Undoing, because I was so committed to doing, and so many people think that if they do more, it'll be better, but really undoing and opening space for possibility is what I think the world needs more of.
Yes. Absolutely.
We are totally on that same mind frame. We worked 50, 60, 70-hour jobs.
Right.
And you just had no time for anything.
No.
Right.
Except for work.
Right.
And then when you did have time, you did the laundry and the dishes.
Exactly.
Or you partied so hard to feel like that you were working so hard for some sort of reason. Yeah. And that's what, unfortunately, so many people are trapped in. It's the majority of society, and you just can't see a way out. You're got blinders on because you're so focused on what's the next step to get you to the next place. And I think it's a very difficult, very courageous, and a very strong thing to step back and say everything needs to stop.
Yeah.
You know,
It's kind of crazy.
yeah.
And I remember the woman that I did the Ayurvedic training with,
Mm-hmm.
she had me on a phone call before I enrolled in her class. And it was, it's how people get people to enroll in their classes. They ask them, like, what's your perfect day look like? And what in your wildest dreams, how would you feel on this day? And what would you do? And so I realized probably last year that those were my days.
Mm-hmm.
I had envisioned it with her. And I remember I was working on labor and delivery that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back down to labor and I felt like I was floating on a cloud, and I was like, I just had the craziest experience. And then all of a sudden to realize that
You're living your dream life.
that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's surreal because I've been telling James that lately, that's what I felt like, that I get to do what I love to do and live my life how I want to do it from day to day, from moment to moment. But when you get to that point, it feels so natural and normal that you got to that point that you don't even realize that you got there. Like, you're just like, now you're on to the next thing. Like, what's the next thing that I want in my life to and make me happier or whatever? And it's like, wait a second, this is amazing. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. I'm relaxed. I'm happy. It's surreal.
We have to feel the happiness
Mm-hmm.
to arrive at where we want to
Yes.
be. If that's how we want to feel, we have to
Absolutely.
be that to get there.
Because otherwise you're constantly chasing that next thing. You're
Oh.
constantly looking for.
Yeah. And for it to bring you what you think you want.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you can own that yourself,
Yeah.
it's never going to come.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
always, I'll be happy when. I'll
Yeah.
be happy when.
Yeah. And now I remember at some point in my journey, someone said, like, what's fun for you? And I was like, what is fun? Really? Like, nothing's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But now
Everything.
it's like, I'm not going to do it unless it feels like fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. It's interesting because when you look at, and I'm sure you have the same thing, you look back at the things that used to make you happy or give you light 20, 30 years ago, and then the things that do it today, I'm sure it's very different. Because for us, that's one of the things that we keep finding, that our lives have changed so drastically, and it's amazing the things that we used to do and the things that we wouldn't even consider doing today,
I think, with undoing,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to find simple things.
Mhm.
Like taking a bath
Yeah.
with essential oils, and when the water smells like roses and you're sitting in the warm water, like,
Yeah.
how could life get any better?
Right?
Yeah, that's joyful, right?
Right?
I mean, that's
It's not having
joyful.
to numb. And that's what I feel like so many people run away from, right? That's what they're attempting to do, is they numb. So they can't enjoy a nice bath because they can't sit with
So
their
true,
thoughts. They
yeah.
can't, be still for that long. They've got to constantly be distracted. They kind of constantly have to numb themselves, essentially. And I think I used to laugh at people who would say that they were high on life. And it's like, now I'm high on life. And it's like, I totally get it,
Yeah, living the dream.
Yes.
Well,
am.
one of the things that I think that's changed us, or changed me anyways, is meditating.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to sit still and calm my mind. Because my mind would race from the time I got up until the time I went to bed.
Exactly.
And I never could calm it. And we've only been meditating for a few years, a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's more rewarding than so many things. Sometimes we only try to do 15 minutes in the morning, and sometimes I just got caught up doing 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and not even realize that 30 minutes have gone by. And it feels good
Mm-hmm.
when you come out of meditation.
Yeah.
Your day feels good.
Yeah.
Your
to
day's
start
so
your day.
different. I was actually thinking that as we were talking, like, it all goes back to the mindfulness practice.
Yeah.
That has changed me so much in the last couple of years. It's amazing. I can't even believe it. My mind doesn't even race like it used to.
No.
Right.
Throughout the day.
Yeah.
Because it would race all the time, and now it doesn't even have that same speed it used to when I was not stuck, but had a career. And I didn't even know if it was a career.
Yeah.
When I look back,
And if you didn't leave.
it was just, something that I did because I felt that I needed to earn that money
Uh-huh.
to have things, which we have eliminated most of our things.
Yeah.
I think about the money that I've spent.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my gosh. And I'm still trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still like offloading. It's like,
Yep.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now I, buying some food, some good food, delicious food, buying some experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
Exactly.
vacation to Egypt.
Yeah.
And maybe some clothes that make you feel nice and just things that help you get by day to day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need that much
don't.
more, do we?
No.
Yeah.
Our biggest expense is buying good food.
Food's what
Oh,
we
yeah.
spend the most of our money on.
Yeah. And that's where it's at, right?
Mhm.
And then you're nourishing your
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Really.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it, because it's not just about medications and all that will help you stay alive, but what quality of life are you living if you can't do anything but watch TV or
I had a conversation with an insurance person today,
Mhm.
and she was trying to get me to upgrade my life insurance to whole life.
Uh-huh.
And she said, well, how much do you think you're going to need towards the end of your life? And I said, well, I want to live long and die fat. And she said, oh, I like that.
I like that too.
I don't know. And I went into my financial advisor a couple of years ago and I said, well, I just want you to know I'm going to live till I'm 100. So we need to make sure that the money will last.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
But he also said when I went in and told him a few years earlier before that I was leaving my job at the hospital in obstetrics and gynecology
Mm-hmm.
and doing functional medicine. He looked at me, he said, that's great because you're going to work forever.
Well, because it's not going to feel like work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I was just going to say
That's
that.
the
That's
difference.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it doesn't
difference
feel
right
like
there.
work. I'm connecting deeply with people and taking them on a journey and they're getting really good results.
Yeah.
And so that's fun.
Yeah. That's
So did you work here in Flagstaff at the hospital
Mhm.
for a long time?
Mhm.
You were in Flagstaff a long time?
Yeah, 25 years.
Oh, that is
wow.
that is a long time.
Yeah.
So what was the jump to decide to become a functional medicine doctor, get certified?
Yeah, it's, I think it started with the mindfulness practice because I was slowing down and aware of what was going through my mind. And one day I went out for a run. I think it was it in the spring? I think it might have been in the spring. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And I was running and I was just about to get on the urban trail system. And I heard it was like a voice. It wasn't mine.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you're going to open an alternative medicine practice in Flagstaff. And yeah, you need to know that. And I was like, okay. So the whole run, I was like, wow, okay, so how's that going to look? And so I started thinking about it. Who do I need to call? And I was remembering that there was a woman a couple years before that was doing something similar, but then she left. And so I figured out how to get in touch with her. And I called her and she said, you need to look up the Institute for Functional Medicine. And I said, okay. And so I just hung up the phone. I looked it up and I did all their free trainings. It was 5 hours of medical education. And I did that right away and enrolled in, it was the first course I could do right away. And yeah.
And never looked back. You just went for it.
And the other thing that's crazy, I still think about this. I'm like, this is crazy, is I started my training in the middle of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished my training at the beginning of 2019. They usually recommend that you do that training in 5 to 6 years.
Wow. So
I crammed it in. I had already quit my job. I quit my job at the end of 2018. I did my last training in 2019. So 2019, I opened my clinic and I just started seeing people. I wanted to put this
You might have had 6
knowledge,
months or something.
into
crazy.
action. And then I actually did get another job at a little hospital just to help pay the bills. And then lockdown happened and I was going to take my test in April. So it was about a year after I'd finished all my training and I got COVID.
Oh.
I got COVID before lockdown.
Oh.
And I was so sick, and I couldn't keep up with my study schedule. And I think I had long COVID, and I was doing the menopause transition at the same time too. So
man.
my
Brain fog on
was not working. So I postponed it 6 months, and I took it in October, and I passed. I think it was divine intervention, honestly.
Just needed that extra.
It was so hard. That test was so hard. And okay, I did it.
That's
So,
amazing.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, you got out of the hospital at perfect timing just before COVID.
I'm so glad.
Right.
Because what?
I didn't even
Oh my
put that
God.
together.
Thank you. Whoever guided me here, yes, thank you.
Because I know for my son, that was a crazy time.
Well, he had just started nursing
Yeah.
when he moved
got out
to
of-
Boise, and lockdowns happened right after we
Right
moved
after.
him, right?
And he got job placement.
Yeah.
And then we moved him to Boise. He started working, and then the lockdowns happened.
Yeah.
It was crazy time.
Yeah, he was a brand new nurse. I can't even believe he's still doing it.
Yeah. And I had a friend who had retired as an emergency room physician, and then she said, "Oh, I'm going to go back to work." So we worked at this small hospital together, and then she said, "I'm too young to retire." And then she worked for a little bit, and then lockdown happened, and then she said, "I'm too old for this."
I believe it.
So I'm done.
Absolutely.
I'm done with it.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
That was a crazy time
It
for
was.
everybody, but for physicians and nurses,
Mhm.
it was even just incredible.
And the politics,
The
I
politics.
remember so I get up every morning and I meditate for 30 minutes. And I remember I would I would just stay on my meditation cushion, sometimes for like an hour and a half more, just doom scrolling. Just like, oh my God, like what is happening in the world?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
It was a crazy time.
It was. I think it broke a lot of people, like friendships, families. I mean, it was just amazing the things that people would spew at each other. And I don't that's a whole other topic.
That it got really bad in November.
Mhm.
And I remember my New Year's resolution was, I'm going to find a way to get around this. I want to be able to accept everyone.
Yeah.
Love everyone, accept everyone, differences. And I was so opinionated and
Yeah.
judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're vaccinated. I don't care if I'm vaccinated. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
And
matter.
I believe that's the way it should be.
Yeah. To each their
Because
own.
I don't
For
mind
them.
if you are vaccinated, that doesn't mean I need to be vaccinated.
Right.
It just doesn't matter. What's it matter?
We all should have the right to decide.
It's
for
a right for your own body.
And that should be, that's in every topic across the board. Like, it doesn't even have to be medical. Like, that's just,
Right.
everybody can live the life that they desire to live.
So, Beth, tell us about your radio program.
Oh, I have a radio show. So when I moved to Sedona, I started doing Toastmasters.
Oh, that's a great program.
Yeah. And there were a couple new people. There were a ton of new people that came in right around the time that I joined. And one of the guys bought a radio station in town, and the other one was the manager. And they would come in here and there. And I was thinking like, oh, maybe they'll interview me and we can have I can promote myself in town.
Yeah.
And I said, do you want to do an interview on functional medicine? And they looked at me and they said, do you want to do a functional medicine radio show? I said, yeah, let's talk about it. And so we met, we talked about it. It was last September. And then I sent them an email. I didn't hear anything. And I was like, what's going on? So then I really basically forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd made the decision to close the brick and mortar in Flag and move and do all telemedicine. And right around that time, I got an email from them. Okay, we're ready. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do it.
That's awesome.
Let's do it.
It's amazing when you look back to see how things lined up and they were shifting in the background.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So it's called Rooted in Healing. And I really want people to get a taste of everything that's out there and to understand all the different modalities. So Monday, I have an interview with a doctor of homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
He actually ended up being a homeopathic vet, but he worked with people, and it's the whole concept of homeopathy.
Yeah.
And we were laughing the other day. He said, yeah, people tell me that they go to a homeopathic vet. And he's like, oh, what'd they give your animal? And they say vitamin C. He's like, oh no, like they don't get it. Homeopathy is an entire science that evolved before the scientific method ever happened. So where in Ayurveda, you treat like something that's hot with something cold. And in homeopathy, you treat like with like.
Oh.
But if you're treating like a headache, what you do is you take an herb that if you ate it would give you a headache, and you dilute it out like so many times that it's this tiny, tiny dose, and then that helps treat the headache. Yeah. So
It kind of makes sense, though.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to talk to him. I have an interview with a lymph massage therapist, a lymph therapist tomorrow. And the whole concept of the lymph channels and the fascia and the electrical energy that interface with that and the water that carries that energy, that's so fascinating to me. So I'm interviewing her tomorrow. I interviewed someone about fasting yesterday.
The Prolon?
The Prolon diet.
Prolon.
Yeah, fasting mimicking diet. I've interviewed a registered dietitian about what is functional medicine. I interviewed someone in lifestyle medicine. What is that about? So really digging into these modalities with their experts. And so everybody knows what's what.
Yeah.
And they can make an educated decision about what might be a good next step for them, because people are not getting the answers from their Western medicine doctors these days. You know, with 5 minutes with your doctor and they give you a prescription, they don't even hear it. So this is interesting. I just got back from Egypt about a month ago, and one of the beautiful things that I learned, we went to temples all the time, and there was a temple that had a hospital in it. A couple of the temples did, but this one was a room where that had like places where the patients would be, and they had in hieroglyphics on the walls of the hospital room the ways that they treated people, and it was with food, and so they had people carrying platters of food, essential oils, and they had the oil diffusers, the carvings. They treated them with exercise like yoga and crystals. But on the outside of the door of the hospital, there was a hieroglyphic carving of an ear, because the healer listens.
That makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a reminder almost.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And we're not getting that now in our medical system.
No, and you would even think, just because they had tried to squeeze so many people in at a time, that they would even give you like a questionnaire of like, what are all the symptoms that you're having, so that we can get a full picture. Because some people, sometimes it's like they say, a fish doesn't realize what water is. Right. Sometimes you've been living with a condition for so long that you don't even know that it's not normal.
Right.
Because you've been eating the same diet you were raised on, so you have no idea that it's literally tied to something that you're ingesting every day, or the pollution that you're breathing in every day, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've had people say, I didn't even know what it felt like to feel good, and I feel good. Yeah,
that's gotta feel good.
It's amazing. It's fun. You know, it's that fun feeling that I'm looking for. Yeah, it's like yes, fun.
Yeah,
fun.
Well, we experienced Western medicine just in the last few months, and they are on a tight schedule, man. They're in and out of that room. The surgeon maybe had 5 minutes with me, and he was like, gotta go. And it's just, whew.
And you know, the sad thing is that it's not the doctors.
No, he's just on that kind of a schedule. I had a list of questions. I couldn't even get them all answered.
I know. And we, as doctors, I think we were gaslit, like just from the beginning. And then the administrators, and then the third-party payers, the insurance companies, and they're squeezing what they're paying, and the administrators want to make more money. And so then the doctors are like, they just have
Stuck
to
in
work
the
harder.
middle.
Yeah.
Because I never realized, and another thing I just learned, that insurance companies negotiate hard for the money that they receive, and they pay actually a lot less. So I was going to a physical therapist and just talking to him, and he's charging my insurance company $150 a session, which he was worth it. He was spectacular. And I was like, well, I ran out of visits, so my insurance wasn't going to pick up any more of the visits. So I asked him, and I was like, well, how much is it if I just come in and pay cash? And he's like, oh, $55 for an hour. And I was like, you charge my insurance company $150. He's like, yeah, but by the time they're done with
if
me,
they pay.
and he's like, if they pay, by the time they're done, I barely get 75 out of them because it's a negotiation.
And then he has to pay all the people to negotiate with them and keep submitting
It's
and
such a-
resubmitting.
And I was like, I didn't know that's the way it was. And he's like, trust me, it's hard to get money out of an insurance company. And I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
It should be a fixed rate or something.
Oh, yeah. I took insurance payments when I started my practice in 2019, and I saw the payments, like the amount just going down and down and down, and finally one day, really during COVID, they started really cutting back, and one day I was sitting on a Saturday afternoon in my bedroom with like all these stacks of like things that I had to make a copy of and put in an envelope and put a stamp on and mail it back, resubmitting all my time, in the computer, like refiguring stuff. And I looked at everything and I thought,
Not worth it.
I could work a third of the time I'm working, charge cash, and make the same.
Yeah.
It's like, that was a no-brainer. And then it was like the leap of faith, like, are people going to pay cash?
Yeah.
And it's what's heartbreaking about the way that the system has now become is that people like you who have a passion and are willing to take the risk because your passion is so strong to actually be able to help people, that people who are kind of stuck with insurance, for financial reasons, they're not accessible to you. And insurance is like keeping them in this box. And where you would think, the math to me seems to be that if insurance was actually like, let's get these people healed, we would save money in the long run because they're still paying their premiums. But I don't understand how the system works. It's so confusing.
What I think is they hope that they're going to fall off insurance. They're going to lose their jobs, they're getting fired, and then they're not going to have insurance. So I decided not to buy insurance anymore, and I'm part of a health share, which
That's
is,
Ryan and Deidre knew.
those are such nice programs. If if you're not going to get cancer, and even thyroid cancer, I would say, is the best kind of cancer to have.
That's what we
One of
keep
the
being
best.
told.
Yeah, it's one of the
And
best.
I mean, it seems like, knock on wood, I mean, the pathology report came back and the surgeon got it all.
Good.
And so, knock on wood that it's not anywhere else.
Yeah.
So,
Amazing. Congratulations.
and we almost didn't go with the surgery, but my son was like, it's really the best option for
We were going to try
thyroid
to do
cancer.
all research as much as we could to do all as natural as we could.
Yeah, and we were doing the keto
But
diet
the fear
stuff.
of it going to the lymph nodes was too big to risk
Yeah,
that.
do the Prolon and get the autophagy
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
and then that'll help clear up any other junk, I would say. that's
Yeah.
in there. Yeah.
So I have a story about Western medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a primary care physician, and I had high blood pressure, she said, and I was like, well, I'd like to have an alternative. She wanted to prescribe me a medication. I was like, I'd like to have an alternative. What kind of exercise program, what kind of foods can I eat to bring my high blood pressure in control? She, straight said,
Told him he had no other option.
there's no other option except taking this medication. So I was like, well, don't prescribe me. I'm trying not to be on a prescription. I'm only 50, I wasn't even 50 yet. I was
You weren't
40,
50 yet,
I was
yeah.
48 or 49. And I'm like, I don't think that. She dropped me.
She wouldn't see him again.
She wouldn't see me again. She dropped me. And
Because he's like, give me 6 months. Let me see if I can get it under control on my own. Let me do some research.
I lost 40 pounds eating leafy greens, broccoli, beet juice.
Yeah.
My blood pressure was like 130
Whenever you go see
83.
a doctor, it goes crazy. But
Yeah, I don't.
other than that, it's
I
fine.
hadn't been to a doctor in like 20 years before this lady.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. But it's fine. I check it at home all the time, and it's fine. And she was like, the only way out is this prescription.
Mm-hmm.
And she got mad, and I was like, well, my son's a nurse, and he tells me that doctors get kickbacks on prescribing medicine. So are you getting a kickback? Because I really don't want to be on this medication. And she would never see me again.
I don't.
She
know
just
about
got
it.
super mad.
I don't know what, I'm not sure if it's like,
I know that I was married to a pharmaceutical sales rep for a while.
were you?
So he would get a report of which doctors were the big prescribers. And I was always really low.
That sounds really low. That's a great thing.
I had a lot of pride in that.
Yeah.
So the reps, like, they weren't ever really interested in coming to see me.
Yeah.
They really wanted to talk to people that.
That's going to
Yeah,
prescribe
and
me.
I think by kickbacks, it's like take you out to eat,
Yeah.
wine you and dine you kind of thing, not like
I don't know what the
here's
kickbacks
$1,000.
are, but I was.
You can't give. The regulations are really tight.
Yeah.
now. But I remember the days where they weren't, and they would, like, the drug reps would, like, take their residents golfing, but I didn't golf, so then I got to work extra while the guys would go golfing. I was like, wait, what's wrong with this picture? We
Yeah.
should get a spa day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny.
See how easy it is to get off track? So, on your radio station, how do people listen? Is there a certain day, certain hour?
I think we were going to do it either Saturday at 8 or 9 a.m. And it's KAZM 106.5 FM, 780 AM, Mellow Mountain Radio. It's in Sedona. And
Is it streamed on iHeartRadio, do you know?
Apple
Apple, okay.
Podcasts is going to stream it.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know if he's going to do YouTube. We're going to try to get on Spotify because I've got some other things on Spotify.
Nice.
that we're releasing. Yeah.
I can't wait to listen.
Thank you. I'm excited you want to listen.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We definitely try to absorb all of the information that we can, and we're definitely students in overall holistic health, anything, and mind, body, spirit, everything.
Yeah.
Try to find our own path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't need to all feel like we're alone doing it either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that
Guide.
I've come to love about this book and the readings that we were doing, because sometimes you do feel alone in your journey, and then we listen to all these different stories, and it was just like you find a piece of yourself in every single person's version of their experience of life, and you realize that you're not alone in all of these different aspects of how you were feeling or how the things that you had to deal with. And it's really beautiful to realize. First of all, it is kind of heartbreaking that everybody has some sort of trauma or heartbreak or terrible thing that they had to overcome to get to where they are today. But it's beautiful to realize that we are all so beautifully intertwined and so different. And it's such an incredible way for us to just get to deeper knowledge in each other and in experience.
You want to know how I see it? I think that we come to this earth for the trial, for it to burn in the fire, to have that experience. And some choose to and some choose not to. But that's why we're here, is to face that experience. And
Some people come out of it, and then
work.
some people, I can't remember. It was like, because Dr.
Milgram yesterday, he said I can't remember his exact wording, but basically you get a choice. You choose what to do with it. You either grow or you shrink. You either succumb to what happened or what you have going on, or you choose it to make you stronger.
We'll have to watch that episode, because he made it sound so good, and I was like, that is the truth. You're either rising above it or you get stuck in that rut that just a spinning
Yeah.
wheel. And a lot of people do get stuck in that rut,
Mhm.
and instead of seeing the bigger picture of life, which is everybody is connected.
Right.
So,
Right. And just hearing everybody's stories and like feeling connected,
Mm-hmm.
because we are like
Yeah.
anyone who can make it through a horrible situation, no matter what
some of them stories, I hope everybody reads the book Together We Rise, because the stories blew my mind.
It's
Yeah.
such an inspirational
Amazing,
collection of
yeah.
stories.
and the way people
It made me want to get with my brothers and sisters and write a book.
you can,
I want to.
and I'm sure
I don't know
with
if
your
they.
name,
Right?
I don't know if they would want to, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them, because it would have to be a collective.
Everybody's perspective.
Yeah, we just grew up so crazy. It was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would love to do it, and I'm going to ask him. I want to go to the East Coast just to ask him. And I have a sister that's 4 years younger, and then two brothers that are we're all 1 year apart.
wow, well, I bet it was crazy.
Oh, it was crazy.
The stories he tells me is just insane.
It was crazy. But
3 boys in the 80s in the woods in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. It was crazy.
it was crazy. So I still want to, like, in a few words,
Yeah.
Ayurvedic, what's the like process of it? Now, I just got a little bit just listening. Different times of the seasons, you do different things. But like, what's the food? I thought it was a vegetarian style diet, but then after just researching it a little, it doesn't necessarily mean vegetarian, because me and her talked about vegetarian, but she's got a lot of food allergies. So she can't eat like chickpeas, and she can't eat beans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very interested in, because it is about exercise. Is it exercise, eating correctly, mindfulness? It's like all those things.
It's like everything.
Yeah, so I teach a course that is a 10-week course, and you look at 10 different areas, and it's called the Dinacharya, which are the daily rhythms. And these are things that if you grow up in India,
Mm-hmm.
southern India, this is just
Normal.
how you live your life.
Wow.
You wake up in the morning, I drink at least 2 cups of water,
Mhm.
sometimes, well, about 4 actually. And then you're supposed to have a bowel movement within an hour after waking up. Scrape your tongue, brush your teeth. Well, you scrape your tongue very first and brush your teeth before you put anything in your body, because all of the ama, or the toxins, all the stuff that your body's cleaned up, is on your tongue. It's not all there, but
Yeah.
there's a representation of what your body's clearing out. So you scrape your tongue, you just get to know, like, how's my tongue? Because your tongue reflects what's going on in your digestive system and in other places in the body. So you get an idea of the coating on your tongue, what your tongue looks like. Is it inflamed? What's going on here? And then you drink the water, you have your bowel movement, you ideally do like a little bit of exercise, 20 minutes or so, and then meditate. And this is just like getting the body going. This is like treating your body well. This is what it wants.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other aspects to it: getting to bed on time, not eating 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. So making sure your digestion is complete from dinner before you ever put your head on the pillow, which means that you need to eat dinner earlier.
Yeah.
I need to eat a lighter dinner. We need to have a lunch, the largest meal of the day, because when the sun is highest, that's when our bile production is the highest.
That makes sense.
It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some practices of abhyanga, like rubbing oil on the skin, letting it soak in. So taking care of the skin, taking care of the ears and the mouth and the nose and the eyes with oil, putting oil on the head, on the feet before you go to sleep. It's all neurologically very calming. And then plant-based diet. And that's really getting to know the plants that you're eating. And you can still eat meat. Plant-based is plant-based.
Yeah.
It's at least 5% animal protein in there.
Yeah.
Because we all need protein. Some people choose to get it from plants. And I actually have switched back and forth from a vegan diet to a carnivore diet, depending on what my body needs.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then there's how you eat. Are you like eating? Yeah.
Shovel it.
Are you sitting in front of the TV and eating? Are you not even paying attention to your food? Or are you sitting down and being grateful for what you eat, smelling it? Because all of these like start to activate our digestion.
Even I've even heard that the more you chew, the more your digestive system, it already knows before the food hits your stomach what it needs to do to break that down.
And then it's nice and fine.
It's
So when
easier for it to do.
to get in your stomach. And so that's the dinacharya. And then Ayurvedic medicine looks at the gut as one of the main sources for imbalance, like what's going on in the gut, and because that's going to be reflected in the body in their places. And you can see how the dinacharya would optimize gut health. And then there are the different energies, the pitta, kapha, they're called doshas, pitta, kapha, vata, and they're always in balance. They need to be in balance, but they get out of balance. So how do you bring them back into balance? And they use the pitta, kapha, vata to describe like your personality, your body type, the weather, the type of season it is, the seasons of life. Like they all have these same different energies that are affecting them. And then there are the gunas, which are the opposites. My favorite one to talk about is in Ayurveda, the opposite of wet is not dry, it's oily.
Oh.
So when your nose is feeling dry or your skin is feeling dry, like you want to put oil on it. You don't want to put water on it. You don't want to put necessarily saline up your nose. You want to put some oil up your nose and like really, really help those mucous membranes get moist, deeply nourished.
I just started putting oil on my skin.
Yeah.
And it's helped.
Yep.
This Arizona weather's dried me out.
Yeah. We'll definitely do that. Yeah, for sure.
So that's all fascinating. And a lot of that stuff we have been integrating. So it's amazing because we've been trying to get up with the sun, go to bed with the sun. We've been trying to eat early in the day, different, in the winter, it's like 3:00, but
And
it changes.
And like you're saying, Ayurveda is also very in touch with nature.
So we've been doing a lot of that stuff, not all of it.
What's amazing is, like you're saying, it's focused on the gut being the center of everything in your body, and they're starting to see in science now, science is starting to catch up with the gut microbiome is actually connected to everything that goes on in your body, and it's actually possibly what tells your brain to tell the rest of your body what to do.
Oh, I really believe in that. And then I went to a lecture at the recent functional medicine conference that I just got back from, and there was a woman who was presenting on trauma, and she said, you know how they say that it all starts with the gut? She said, I think it all starts with your trauma.
That makes sense.
Because that's the vagus nerve. That's the rest and digest or fight and flight. And is that activated? Because that's going to affect your gut. And so many of us have, I don't know what happened. What happened that we're all so traumatized?
I don't know, but I don't feel I can connect to anybody and find out that they weren't, because they all are. And almost like no trauma is its own trauma at this point.
You're hiding. I don't believe you. There's something.
You're so traumatized you won't admit it.
There's something in there. Yeah. And I think everybody, it's like I said, like it's part of our journey. We've got to have something to work through.
Yeah.
It's funny because we make fun of my son because you could tell the story.
We shouldn't, but we do. Every time we see him, so James Sprite, he did not want to give his son anywhere near the same childhood he had. He wanted to compensate in the opposite direction. Yeah, try to give him the best childhood he could. He had, when he was a teenager, quit his job in the summer so he could spend the summers camping all over with his son.
Just when they got to the 13 years old.
Hoping he would have the job when he came back. He was lucky enough that he did, but whatever, he was doing it anyways. And every time we go and visit his son, he brings up that when he was just about to graduate high
He's
school.
graduating. He
before
was a senior in
graduating
high school. Already booked to go into the Navy.
His mom got a transfer to Tucson, Arizona with her job. She had to take it or she was not going to get the transfer. They were trying to wait. They didn't think she was going to get the transfer until after he graduated. So you got the option. Do you want to stay and graduate with your friends or do you want to move to Tucson with us? He chose to stay. And now he's got an abandonment complex about it.
Oh my God.
Make the choice. And so he brings it up all the time. And he's got this very
3 months of emptying it before I'm testing. That was it.
And since they decided to have a kid, they have been you guys need to move here. You guys need to move here. He wants his family back together. And, we're finally doing it. But it's just like, this is all about this abandonment trauma. And, when it's the worst thing you've ever experienced, it's the worst thing you've ever experienced. You don't know anything else.
He was so mad at me and his mother for moving, but it was something that was planned way a long time ago because my ex-wife was from Tucson and she wanted to be closer to her mother. So I was like, well,
when the kids graduate, I'll move to, I always wanted to come out west. I always wanted to hike the Grand Canyon. I never even ever left New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New England area. I never left that area. So I was like, I'd love to go out here. It happened just too fast. So we were like, you can stay here and live with my brother and his wife at their house. You can finish high school, whatever. We went back for graduation and he said it was all fine, but it wasn't fine. After he went in the military, got out of the military, and then after he got out of the military, he told us how much he hated us for leaving them in New Hampshire.
Well, at least you can say it.
yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And we just made fun of him because I was like,
We don't make fun of him to his face.
yeah, I was like, if that's the only thing that ever
If he ever listens to this podcast,
That's pretty good.
he might hate us forever.
No, he wouldn't. But it's just funny because everybody experiences things differently
Yes.
and perceives things
Yes,
differently.
exactly.
So true.
And I always used to tell him, I was like, you had it so much easier than me and my brothers. That's all I'll tell you.
Yeah, and I tried to stay in the marriage to not traumatize the girls, and I realized that was trauma to them, and I got out of the marriage, and they were traumatized. It's like, you can't win.
No.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly
like you said, though, we all need it, though.
Yep, it was all part of the journey.
And it's all growing. It's all, you're either going to grow from it or, we have friends that go the opposite direction and then you find abuse and drugs or alcohol or other things that just happen.
Yeah.
That kept, just whatever. Life happens basically. And then everybody hopefully finds a journey out.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to promote. There is a journey out.
There's a journey for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to decide that it's time.
Yeah.
I think that's all you got to do is decide that you're done and surrender.
I was thinking we were going to talk about her practice
Yep.
and her taking new clients and what her offering is that she offers people
Beautiful.
in functional medicine.
Yeah. I think it's a great offering. I remember years ago thinking, I wish I could just sit down and look at my labs and talk to someone and see what's out of balance. So I would know going forward where the blind spots are or what I can work on health-wise so that I can be as healthy as possible in 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
Yeah.
It's called a foundational assessment. And generally people start with a connection call and we connect and talk and decide what the best next step for them is. I work with a lot of perimenopausal and menopausal women doing hormone replenishment, which is very needed right now because when cortisol is high, progesterone is low, and when progesterone is low,
you don't feel safe. Everything's miserable.
everything's bad. So I love doing the hormone replacement and then also doing a foundational assessment on someone. So they fill out questionnaires that really encompass their entire life and their health history. And that's what I want to know. How were you born? Did you eat a lot of sugar as a kid? Were you active or were you sedentary at home? And what was home life like? Did you feel loved?
Yeah.
Were your parents always fighting? Were you kind of put in a corner? Because that all influences how the genes are expressed and what's going to happen later in life. So going through that life history. Yeah. And then usually by the time we get through that, I kind of have a feeling for what's going to show up on the labs and then pull up the labs and figure out like, oh, the zinc is low, or you're not methylating, which is a process of activating different enzymes and DNA and things like vitamin B's in the body, and looking at cholesterol and, sugar testing.
Mm-hmm.
And omega-3 and 6 levels, so the omega-3 fatty acids,
Mm-hmm.
like fish oil, looking at those in the body and seeing how those are balanced, because those are really important in so many different processes. I do some testing to look at stress that can indicate if the adrenals are out of balance. Are the mitochondria getting what they need to help with aging and detoxification and inflammation, and some basic inflammatory markers. So it's like pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
It kind of like litmus tests all the systems in the body that I like to look at, and then I make some recommendations, and then we're off to the races.
I love it.
Yeah.
You better sign up.
I know. I'm already like, I'm testing negative for everything. So I'm like, let's go find out what's really wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I use different reference ranges. I have normal values that I use. Usually on most conventional laboratories, they have what's called a reference range.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they just take all the people that come get their blood drawn.
The average of all the unhealthy people.
Yeah, exactly. So since I started medical school, I've watched the normal TSH levels going up, and yeah, they've just made some changes to like oxidized LDL and another marker, and I'm like, why are you changing that?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's any less oxidative stress.
Yeah.
It just means there's more, and we're not treating it.
Yes. Yeah, that's how his son explained it to us. We were like, it's just the average of all the unhealthy people. That's all. So that's what's great.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, what I see though, and what we know, because I was part of that, if I've always had good energy, always outside, always active. So I never went to the doctor because I never felt like I had to go to the doctors. So I think a lot of people are in that same thing. And then it's just so, I don't even know what the word is. It's hard to even go see a primary care physician.
To get one.
It took me a long time when I started feeling a lump in my throat, I couldn't find a primary care that wasn't booked.
Right.
That I could go see.
Right.
To even just...
Yeah, back in January, they were booked out to May.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm trying to really find a doctor. So I had to go all over the place just to find a primary care physician that would take me to see me.
Well, good for you for staying on it.
Yeah. It's easier in those situations, right? To be like, I don't care, like, let's just ignore it and hope it goes away. Nobody wants to deal with it. That's what you normally would do.
Yeah. So if I hurt my shoulder and stuff, I'm going to baby it. But this was something that I knew was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just knew it was weird. It wasn't like I hurt myself working or something like that. It was not a physical ailment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So,
very.
which I wouldn't go to the doctors for. I would fix that on my own.
Yeah. Change your food a little bit. Yeah.
Change my food, change my exercise, get less weight.
Yeah.
But I knew there was something wrong, but it was very difficult. And I think it's difficult for people to find people. That's why I asked if you had any openings.
Yeah.
And it sounded like you did.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people, they're probably scared to go to function medicine. I don't even know.
Well,
But you have a kind of both because you have a history in being a medical doctor and functional. So you can actually guide people on both sides, really. Because I think we all need...
Hold people's hands who are nervous about the other side of the medical field.
And I'm not against Western medicine at all. There's great strides being made every day with medicine.
Oh, what was that statistic you said earlier?
Oh, that the fund of medical knowledge doubles every 73 days.
Yeah, so that's
73
crazy.
days, we're doubling our medical knowledge. It's insane.
So I think that, we need more doctors like you that see both sides of the scope, not just holistic, and trying to use herbs and food to heal, but use everything in the book to heal people.
We're trying to. And I'd say the biggest barrier to people coming to see me is they say it's too expensive, they can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundational assessment, $700. The labs are about $400.
Yep.
If they wanted to do a membership, if we wanted to do labs, like additional labs. I'm thinking like, so let's just make it a really big number and say $5,000. Like if you could spend $5,000 in a year on your health and figure a lot out,
Be healthy for the rest
would
of
it
your
be
life.
worth it for you?
Yeah, but that number's so small if you break that
That's
up
what she's
for a
saying.
month.
Yeah.
What do people,
That's not a big number.
How much are you paying for your insurance
what do
every
people
year?
spend $5,000 on?
Oh,
Like a vacation.
yeah.
Television.
And that's
Yes.
that's 1 week of vacation.
Yeah.
Right.
5,000. We
Right.
spend $5,000 a week. Go anywhere in a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
If you're going on excursions
you're
and having
saying
fun,
that stuff is more important than your health.
Right.
It's a beautiful way to look at it.
Right.
Exactly.
Or a car. They get a new car.
yeah.
Or
And everybody gets a new car every 5 years.
And your body, you're having with you for the rest of your life.
yeah, don't you want, and the things that I find, it's like, it's so, I get so excited because I start to see like thyroid antibodies, like just slightly positive. I'm like, if we don't do anything about this, 10 years, it's going to be Hashimoto's.
Mm-hmm.
But we can turn that around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so you're not just fixing health today, you're preventing health for the future.
Yes.
So that it's not just longevity, it's quality of life.
So they can live long and die fast.
No, that's what I want.
It's going to become my new motto.
If I can't hike or if I can't tie my shoes, then forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, I am not going to live in a hospital bed or a wheelchair.
It's not
And both my parents died young. So,
Yeah.
so I definitely, we watched my mother. She suffered for way too long.
I think we know enough now to not have that happen.
Yeah.
And I just think, and they didn't allow it back then. And she didn't want to live anymore. And she knew she was sick. And I do think at that point, if she's ready to go, let her go. Why are you going to keep her alive? And that's
Because that's
we
not
did.
living.
You know, my last day would be great if I go hike the Grand Canyon, come back out, and just go to sleep.
Or
So,
maybe not make it out.
that'd be even better. That would be even
Be a
better.
statistic.
And then get eaten by a mountain lion.
Now you're a story.
Yeah, one of the things I joke
Few
about,
bones on the ground.
Right?
I would get a wingsuit and I'd just jump off and just land
Oh.
somewhere in the Grand Canyon and fly as far and long as I could. I'd always want to be a bird.
That's how John Denver went, right?
Who what?
John Denver.
Did he?
He died in ultralight.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I would love that. That would be all right with me.
Yeah. Nice to know.
To
You just have to be healthy enough to do it.
do
Yeah,
the
that's
run,
it.
yeah.
That's it.
I'm not getting in trouble for pushing you off.
No, I'll jump myself. I'll jump. But that's great. So a lot of people, if they want to sign up and
Contact you.
contact you, how would they contact you?
Yeah, the website is BethClaxtonMD.com. BethClaxtonMD.com. I also have the domain FlagstaffFunctionalMedicine.com. We've switched over to the Beth Claxton MD because I'm on a more virtual space now. So yeah, that'll take you to the website. There's a button that says become a patient and you're off to the races.
All right.
Yeah.
Super.
Mental note.
Yes. We've been trying
I'll
to
give you a card.
get Kara all fixed up for a while.
Yeah, everything comes back negative. Obviously, I'm not negative. So
Oh, bitchin'. Yeah, bitchin'.
I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
So anything else?
I don't think so. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been
You're
great.
welcome.
We'll make
You're
this
welcome.
happen, meet
Yeah.
in person. This is
Yes.
amazing.
Really fun.
And we're so happy to be able to meet people that are in the book that we're in.
Yeah.
Face to face. We're trying to do face to face interviews with anybody that we can go
Yeah.
face to face with. We're actually gonna
And then we travel anyway, so we might
Yeah.
as well.
on our way to
We're going to
Idaho.
see Carrie on the way up to Idaho. Yeah.
We're gonna see Carrie on the way in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
We're excited for that.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah. I can't wait. That's great. This whole thing is magical.
Have you interviewed Sylvie?
I've interviewed Sylvie in the past when she first started Taproot, but since we've started the book, no. Since we started the book interviews, we just haven't been able to
interview
connect.
her and Kevin.
Yeah, we just,
Yeah.
every time we get together, we prioritize game night over podcast interviews.
Yeah.
We visit them once a month and
Yeah,
have a game
typically.
night.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I
Yeah.
need to start doing game nights.
It's,
Do you play Catan? You know that game?
No.
Oh,
See, this is the fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like finding the fun.
Yeah.
Mining for fun.
That game's fun.
We'll have to
What's
invite
the-
her to the next one.
Yeah, what's the other game? We're not.
Oh, with Dominion. They've only showed us how to play Dominion. They're like games that were like fun in high school that you like kind of bring back out. You know, they're like almost, I don't want to say role playing, but they're board games.
I saved a few games in boxes. They're in the garage. I want to put them in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Just
Board games are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Well, I like to hang out with his kids, so his kids, they got amazing kids.
Yeah.
So playing in the backyard with the kids is always fun.
Yeah.
Your
You'd be
Macy's
a
best
grandfather.
Anytime we go hang out with friends, it's usually I'm hanging out with the adults and he's crawling around on the floor with the kids.
I get more pleasure out of kids. They are just sponges, you know, and they're always willing to learn, and they never close their mind. So I think that's amazing.
And they
about
just
kids,
want to
so.
have fun, and I think it's enlightening to like you said, it just
They're
find
joyful.
fun in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. When my older daughter graduated college, her father and his new wife and her son and his parents and my mom and I all went. And so it's challenging to be with him. So her son and I sat at the end of the table and we had a great time.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice.
Wonderful.
That's beautiful.
That's good. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Kerouacs Cruising.
We're thrilled to have you with us.
We had a blast recording this episode and hope you enjoyed our adventures as much as we enjoyed sharing them.
For more amazing pictures and stories, visit our website and blog at kerouacscruising.com.
And join the conversation on Facebook at Kerouacs Cruising or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving us a review.
Your support helps us reach more listeners and allows us to continue sharing our travel experiences with you.
It's a generous favor that means the world to us.
Thank you so much for listening to Kerouacs Cruising.
Until next time, happy travels.